The saddest song ever? All right, so the Tossers' Everything's Bad is, in my opinion, the saddest song there ever was. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what the saddest songs are. I know it sounds kind of morbid. Why do you want to hear the saddest songs? Because they touch your soul, dude. Music, sad songs, happy songs, it touches your soul. There's no two ways around it. Why do you think you go, I'm going to listen to some music, get pumped up to go to the gym or work out? I mean, it touches you. There's no two ways around it. It's propaganda. Without question, it's propaganda. And in using the correct form, it's great propaganda in terms of getting you closer to Jesus. That's just a fact. I can't tell you how many songs I've heard that reference Jesus and I start crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? And like there's a song by John Hyatt. Can't remember what the song was called, but man, just every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, it touches my soul because it's such a wonderful song. In this case, so it's the Tossers' Everything's Bad. And I'll put a link in the show notes. So the time frame for me was 2005 or 6, I can't remember, but right in the aughts. And we were struggling financially. You know, we had 2 kids at this point. We weren't pregnant with his 3rd and 4th. We're struggling, man. Her mom had just moved down to Harrisonburg. My mom had just moved down to Harrisonburg. So my mom was just down the block. And I love my mom to death, but she's just up and down, man. She's a tough. Anyways, it's weird. Her mom, if memory serves, was taken ill. And then our next door neighbor Ruth died, and that really hit us hard because Ruth, we loved her to death. Ruth and Victor, you know, they watched Maddie just as, you know, she was older and wasn't unsuspected, but it wasn't good. Anyway, the point being, Charlotte's sister was living with us at the time. Was Jessica with us then? I think she was. Anyway, so Charlotte's sister was living with us, and Charlotte's mom had moved down. My mom had moved down, and when Ruth died, I don't think Charlotte's mom was sick at this stage. But I remember when Ruth had died, it hit Charlotte hard immediately. And it doesn't hit me that hard immediately. It's weird, man. When I get a bad thing, I gotta process it because it's like things that gotta be done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, I gotta process it. And it doesn't hit me that hard. And I just remember it hit Charlotte hard and not me that hard. And we were at odds. I'll never forget this. We were at odds. And when I say at odds, it was just like she was in a different emotional state than I was. And she never said this, but it's just like we weren't seeing eye to eye. For the first time in our lives, we just weren't on the same level, if that makes sense. On top of that, she had her sister and her mom that she could talk to, and I just never, I was jealous. There's no two ways around. I was like, you're talking to your sister and mom more than me. And, you know, the obviously reason was because I wasn't on the same emotional plane she was. And it was just a tough time. It's the only tough time we've ever had in terms of not being one, if that makes sense. So look, I'm not saying our marriage is perfect. Do not take this wrong. Not in the least. Far, far from it. But that was the only time I'll ever forget thinking, what if this doesn't work out? We'd only been married 7 years, the 7-year itch, I suppose. But it wasn't anything to do with infidelity or anything like that. It was just like we weren't on the same page. And she had she could go see her sister and talk to her sister and her mom. And my mom was aloof. It's just, that's the only way to look at it, just aloof. I mean, just my mom, I just don't want to get into it. But my mom I love my mom, but she was aloof. So I really had no one to chat with about the situation I felt was happening in Charlotte. So there's a guy named Matt who I used to work with at the bank. And I just remember I was on a sales call one time. I was driving, like 45-minute sales call. I remember talking to Matt on my cell phone. I said, man, things are just tough. I don't get it. And Matt had, anyway, I just never forget Matt. He's, I just never get to talk to him about it. And he's like, well, here's what you got to do, man. And, and I took that to heart. You know what I'm saying? He goes, you just got to, I can't remember what he said, but I remember it felt good to be able to share that with Matt and say, look, it doesn't feel like we're on stable ground anymore. It feels like at any time this could go worse. And I feel very, what's the word I'm looking for? Exposed, because I didn't have anyone to talk to, you know what I'm saying? And Matt was there for him. I'll never forget that guy. I can't remember his last name. Matt, short Matt. He used to be in the Army too, and we're both branch managers at a bank we worked at. And then, but anyway, the point being is I remember listening to Everything's Bad by the Tossers during this time and say, oh man, I just feel like we're not connected, Charlotte and me. And it was a very trying time in my life. And obviously, that was 20 years ago. We've since had 2 children. We've since moved to Virginia, to Texas, to New Jersey, to Georgia, and things are working out great, you know what I'm saying? But the lesson, a couple things is, hey, it's never going to be a perfect marriage, ever. And what I mean by that, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. You're not going to wake up with peaches and cream every day. You're going to go through some trying times. And trying times and infidelity is going to be tough to reconcile. That's just a fact. So don't cheat on your wife. That's, dude, you can't be cheating on your wife, man. No two ways around it. And one of the best ways not to cheat on your wife is don't drink. Drinking allows your mind to go on to different areas that you should not be going on to. That's just a fact. And if you're going to strip clubs and you're married, you're a scumbag. Don't go to strip clubs. There's absolutely nothing a strip club can offer you if you're a married man. I can't believe how many people go to strip clubs. It's crazy to me. And I don't go. Last time I've been to a strip club was when I was in the Army as a private E1. I haven't been to a strip club since, and I never will, God willing. I can't predict the future, but don't go to strip clubs. Don't jump on OnlyFans. Don't be a scumbag. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't be a scumbag, there's really no reason for your wife to leave it unless she's being a scumbag. Now, you can't control her own scumbag-isness, whatever. But if you're paying attention to her, you're not kissing her ass. Don't be a cuck, man. Don't be like, oh, whatever. Nah, you can't be that. You got to be a man. You got to be the man of the house. That's not mean being an ass. It just, don't be a Pete. You know what I'm saying? You can't be like, oh, well. Yes, you got to. Look, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. I'm not saying Charlotte's perfect. She's not. But we've been together 20. Now, I just saw my man on here. I just posted his wife just left him after 25 and a half years. And I hadn't seen him around here for a while. And I was like, oh, that was. So, you can't control what your wife does. You can't. If your wife is going to be a scumbag, scumbag's on her. But you shouldn't be the scumbag. And if your wife ends up being a scumbag, there's nothing you can do. You can only control you, man. Can only control you, and that's sad. It's disgusting. It's disgusting when freaking people cheat on their spouses. When people just up and I've had that story told. The thing is, I've been working with people since 1998. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard stories like you wouldn't believe. Never forget, I had this one story. This guy told me his wife. He came back from a business trip and he wasn't unfaithful or anything. Just thought everything was good. He came back. When he came back home, his wife said, "Here's the divorce papers." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I want a divorce." He's like, totally. I was like, what the hell, man? You can't control your women. They can't control you. You can only control you. That's all, and that's all you can do. That's the one thing you got to remember. You can only control yourself. You can only control your own emotions. You can only control your own actions. Nothing else you have any control of. So only take advantage. Only worry about the things you can control. The other things are going to take care of themselves one way or the other. Anyway, so going back to me and Charlotte, my man said, look, dude, you can't, all you can do is be a good husband and be a good dad. That's all you can do. I'll never forget he told me that. And everything else is out of your control. And I said, man, it is very humbling and yet very liberating at the same time. Anyway, so I'll put this song in the link here. Everything's Bad by the Tossers. Tossers, one of my favorite bands of all time. Kind of like the Pogues in a way. But they're from Chicago. I love the Pogues. And the Tossers just, oh man. Speaking of which, Charlotte and I went to see them in Philadelphia in 2013. And it was great. I loved being able to go do that with my wife. And, everything's good. That's a fact. But everything's not always good. So just keep that in mind. And if you can just strive, get through it, get through the hard times. The good times await, most likely. I don't know. But if you can get through the hard times, there's, hopefully there'll be a gold at the end of that rainbow. All right, God bless. And put your Saddest song in the show notes. We'll see you.